So how are you guys? Hi, Dawn. How are you guys today? This one's going to be a fun one. Today's topic is something that held me back for most of my adult life, judgment and other people's opinions, and kind of hide myself away a little bit because I was so concerned about everybody else's opinions. So I think it's going to be a good topic. Oh, good. Hi, Ingrid. Hi, Brandy. All right, let me share this to the page, and then we'll be ready to go. So happy Monday. Looks like where I'm at, I was just hearing that the weather's going to start getting nicer now. So we're going to start seeing some 60-degree weather towards the end of this week. Hi, guys. Okay. All right, so if you don't already know me, my name is Jeray Pearson. I am a life transformation strategist and holistic health and wellness coach. I've been doing this for about little over 5 years, and it's where my heart is at. So today's topic is judgment and opinions, and how to sort of get around some of that, how to avoid it in our own lives, and then what do we do if we are being judged or judgmental. So I'm going to talk about both of those things today, so that if that interests you, this is for you. If you like the topic at any point while we're going through this, feel free to share the video. That would be fantastic, so that we can reach more people. I am going to do a little announcement right here in the beginning before we get running, just over the free programs that are coming up inside the group. We have 2 programs that are coming up. One starts next week and then one the week after that. So next week is the Massive Happiness Challenge. So we're doing 3 days of working on different ways to increase our happiness and decrease our stress. So we're deepening our connection to ourselves, learning some new high vibe habits that we can incorporate to grow more love for ourselves. Hi, Cassie. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Crystal. Allie. Okay, so the week after that, so the 1st of May starts the second challenge. That one is a holistic nutrition mindset program. So we're going to look at the allergens, like the most common, well-known dietary allergens, including gluten. And I'm going to talk a little bit about going gluten-free for people that want some help with that. We're going to talk about transitioning to a holistic, clean eating lifestyle. And we're also, obviously going to work our mindset so that we can be consistent with that lifestyle. So those are completely free. You just have to be inside the group. And I will put, when we get done here, I will put links to anything like that you guys need to know. I know I saw Mercury retrograde yesterday. I was actually saw that. So that's funny. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and get going. So first of all, when we talk about judgment, it's sort of important to understand like what I'm talking about when I say that. So the actual definition of judgment is the ability to make considered decisions or come to sensible conclusions. So that is to make a judgment. So in order, to make a judgment, considered decisions or come to a sensible conclusion. And then of course there's judgment in the sense of in the court of law or some other way where it's divine punishment, right? So I when I was looking at the definitions, I thought it was kind of ironic that they're kind of interchangeable in today's society, right? Judgment, where it kind of is meant as a judgment, right? As well as just an opinion. So when we are talking about judgment, we're talking about other people's opinions. That's really what that means, right? Judging is putting your opinion about somebody else out into the universe. So I want to know from you guys if you can relate to this at all when you're, feeling judged and when you kind of second guessing yourself and your decisions because of known judgments that, family members are going to be making, or other people in your life are going to be probably judging. So it looks like a lot of you guys can relate to that. So with me personally, this has been something that's gone all the way back, to the time that I was really young. And if you think about it, we're really taught at a young age to seek approval, and that sticks with us. So we're learning, to keep up after ourselves, to be the good girl, be a good girl, which essentially means make people like you, right? We're taught from a super young age that when people like us, that we're doing everything right, that means that we're good. And so as we, progress through our life, we can take it a little bit to the extreme without realizing it, where we're caring a little bit too much and making our decisions too much based on what we feel other people's opinions are going to be. So I kind of want to talk about, there's this one, there's a saying that says, no matter how juicy of a peach you are, there's always going to be someone that doesn't like peaches, right? You can be the most perfect, ripest, juiciest, perfect peach on the tree, and there's going to be somebody that says, oh my gosh, that's gross. Oh, the texture of that's horrible. Oh, I don't like the flavor of that, whatever it is, right? So to someone who loves peaches, that seems crazy, but is it? It's not really, right? So it's just an opinion. It's just how it is, right? There's also something when you think about perception and how people really form their opinions. If you were to walk into a room, let me know if you're following me on this. If you were to walk into a room and there's 20 people in that room, and they don't know you, but you start socializing and, they all have that same interaction with you. If perception, if judgments and perception and everything didn't matter, you going in there and being yourself would put, every single person out of those 20 people would have the very same opinion of you, correct? So we really have to be aware of the fact that people are making split decisions that have nothing to do with you, right? Opinions almost never have anything to do with you. It's something that someone else has, a thought that someone else has formed on their own. So in that situation, you are the constant, right? You are the one thing that's staying the same. But by the end of that hour or 2 hours, if we were to go around and poll the room, everyone would have different opinions of you based on what color your shirt you're wearing, or it doesn't even have to be a personality thing. It can be that you remind them of their 5th grade teacher who was not kind to them. It can be anything. It's just that first impression thing. Sometimes, we can talk about criticism as well. And, I know this just from being, in social media and putting myself out there, that, people are always going to be, having opinions that differ from somebody else. One person's going to look at my coaching style and, think that it's complete BS and it never worked for them. And I've had that happen. And where someone else is like, oh my gosh, you're my cup of tea. You are, you're who I want to be coached by. But if I were to take it personally that, they didn't like me, I would never continue to put myself out there. And that could have happened, over the last 5 years. There's, takes a lot of tenacity to get back up on the horse when you are continually up against criticism. But I want to remind you guys that, some of this stuff is just takes courage and, getting started, and then it becomes a little bit easier to handle. So, hi, Crystal. Oh, yeah. Okay. I love you too. See you later. Okay. So it takes courage to be authentic. It takes courage to know that you're putting yourself out there, right? But what I kind of want to, the point that I think that we all kind of need to get to is that we're not, that we're not allowing somebody else's opinion to let us question ourselves. And what happens when I first started my growth process, I didn't realize how much I really was internalizing everything around me, everybody's opinions and everything. Should I say that? Oh, maybe I shouldn't say that because they're probably going to think that I'm not, whatever. Should I make that joke? I don't know if I should make that joke because they might not get my humor. Everything that I did, I was second guessing. And so I was never authentic. You can't be authentic if you're second guessing yourself. And when you're second guessing yourself and you're not authentic, you're not surrounded by your people. So you're always going to feel judged because they're not going to get your vibe, right? Like they're not, like how can somebody be madly in love with you when they don't really know you anyway? So we hide ourselves away because we're really afraid of being seen. We're afraid of being judged. We're afraid of people's opinions of us. And really, we're afraid because we don't believe in ourselves enough to know what bullshit it is, their opinions, right? What bullshit their opinions are. And so as you grow the self-love that I keep harping on, as you grow the self-love for yourself, all of this becomes a lot easier. So there's kind of this funny thing that there's this big shift that happened inside of me where when people used to judge me, right? When I would feel that I was being judged or whatever, I would get really defensive, even if just internally, I'd get really defensive, and I would try and even convince them that I wasn't that person that they were thinking I was or whatever, because I really wanted them to see me the way I was seeing me, right? That's kind of what we all want. We all kind of want to know that we're being, seen as the loving people that we know ourselves to be. So you get to a point when you're working on this consistently where it's almost humorous and sort of amusing that people do have other opinions of you. Where I used to always want to fix that, where I used to always want to prove myself and defend myself and explain myself, I can laugh now and I can kind of laugh it off, and I don't feel that need to explain myself as much. When I first started coaching, I had a girl who I would call kind of a mean girl, where, just not someone who lifts people up, but someone who's always kind of pointing out their, criticizing people and always kind of pointing it out. And I happened to look up to this girl. She was older than me, and I looked up to her quite a bit. And she had started personal training, which was new to her as well. She was actually a lawyer. And so she had started personal training and doing her own business and whatever about the same time that I started doing my coaching. And, I had been in college for 7 years by the time I finished, and heavy science background and whatever. And so it was a big shift for me as well. And it took me a while to realize that she had passive aggressively been knocking me down. So she would send me an email that was about credentials. It was like, oh, I thought your people might want to read this. And she was trying to say I didn't have credentials, right? But at first I'm like, oh, thanks, you're being so kind and, generous or whatever. And I had the credentials. but she didn't realize, right? She didn't know I had 7 years. I had full year of anatomy and physiology and biochemistry and, all of this stuff that really pertained to being a really great coach. But I wasn't catching on or whatever. And there was this one incident where on publicly on my timeline, she started questioning my credentials and whatever. And, mind you, this was 4 years ago, 5 years ago or whatever. And my instinct was to defend myself, right? And be like, look, I have 7 years of college background. I've done all of these, I've done 4 years of biology and, all of this stuff. And that was because that's what you want to do, right? You're like, how can she think I'm not qualified to do this and whatever else? And really bothered me. Whereas now, if somebody I do not explain my credentials to somebody that's just, spamming me on social media. Like I don't feel the need to. My clients know my story, and that's enough. I don't need to go on there and be like, hey, wait, I know more than you, which is how I used to put it off. I used to get so defensive that I would cause more tension in that situation because I would get so defensive and I would want to have that argument because I would want her to see, how amazing I really was, right? So boy, have times changed because now, I welcome criticism to the point where I feel like it's almost a compliment. If somebody's taking the time out to really, get down deep into how I coach and what I believe and what I coach and whatever else, then I have to be doing something right because I'm putting out all of that authenticity that I would hide a few years ago. So being proud of myself is the new emotion. Whereas before I used to be like, oh my gosh, they're on to me. I really, they're figuring out that I don't know what the hell I'm doing in life, or whatever. Like, it was validating my subconscious doubt in myself. So where now I'm like, I've helped hundreds of clients, I had a guy, we were joking kind of, but I had a guy that was talking about life coaching and about how, wow, you must really sleep well at night knowing that you take money from people who are at their deepest, darkest times or whatever, and I totally laughed. It was kind of funny, it was like, yeah, I could see where he could see that, but my clients know that I change their lives or I help to change their lives. I do not change their lives, but I help to change their lives by giving them tools, which actually kind of brings me to the next thing. So, I mentioned that we are, we're seeking out approval a lot, and that's why judgment affects us the way that it does. And when we're seeking out approval, so there's approval and then there's aversion. So some people are just going to have an aversion to us. They just really don't like us. They don't really like, something about us or whatever it is. And then there's people that just aren't showing us approval. We're seeking it out. We're seeking it out. I've talked about this a few times in the last week. Where we're seeking out a feeling and they're not giving us that approval. And that can really hurt when you need that, when you're a person who's seeking approval. But when somebody really has an aversion to you and somebody doesn't like you or doesn't want you in their life or whatever, that can be really devastating. So until we start getting this, under control, those emotions can be just huge rejection and devastation. And it feels like somebody's really, that we're not good people because otherwise they would like us. We should never be thinking that, right? So we need to be seeking our own approval above anybody else's approval, so that we know that we're okay, so that when we come up against that, resistance and the negativity, we can bounce back from that. So I'm going to say it again. Other people's opinions of us are none of our business. So they are based on perceptions, and often projections. So you can never assume that when somebody says something negative to you, or somebody has an opinion about you or whatever, you can never assume that it is your fault, because it's coming from a place that you don't have any idea about. It can be, somebody can be projecting their own failures onto you, which is a lot of what judgment is. Judgment is fear-based. Judgment is insecurity-based. And so people who judge and who will criticize and put that out there are not, they're not whole either. You know, they're not filled up with love either. They're usually seeking out the same things. You know, they're seeking out approval and whatever. And if they can beat you to the punch, you know, if they can beat somebody to the punch and take that attention away from them, you know, then they're okay. They're not in the limelight. They're not the one being criticized. They're not the one who everybody is focusing on. So you can see how it can be sort of an easy distraction to point the finger at someone else's decisions, you know, to point the finger at someone else's actions and courage, and diminish that in order to take attention off of your own failures, right? And this is happening all the time. This is society that we live in. People are trying to distract, just because what I'm saying right now, they are as equally or more afraid of being judged as you are. And so they judge first, right? The squeaky wheel type of thing, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, or the squeaky wheel doesn't get the negative attention, right? They put the negative attention on you first. So let me know if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you guys, what I'm saying, as far as projection, and that it's none of our stinking business? But I want to know if you guys are still on and you're still following me. Okay, so so just, you know, just to sort of say what I was saying a second ago, don't ever lash back at your criticisms and judgments. When people are judging you, or people are criticizing you, do not participate in that, because for many reasons, but it's going to fester no matter what. There's a few reasons for this. If somebody, like I just said, if somebody is judging you, then they're probably not whole themselves. So starting an argument with them probably isn't really going to do any good. If they're the queen or king of projection, then that's not somebody you want to have this argument with. You're not going to sway them. And should you sway them anyway? Is it even worth it? Is it worth having the argument, defending yourself, trying to prove you know, your awesomeness to somebody who isn't looking for your awesomeness? You know, somebody who's stuck in a negative perpetual cycle, you know, isn't gonna continue looking for the positive in you. They're gonna look for the negative, and next week or next month, there's probably gonna be another issue that they're not completely satisfied with in your life, right? So just don't lash back. Don't feel the urge to explain yourself or defend yourself. It just makes everything uglier. So if you are able to start, I guess the biggest thing is we have to, I'm going to ask you guys, do you feel at this point that you could allow for someone else to be critical about you without responding to them? Like, do you feel that you are at this point able to do that? The reason I ask that is because this is something that doesn't take a long time to master. So this is actually kind of cool, because once you become aware of the ways that you are participating in judgment, in letting people judge you, you can flip this around pretty quickly. and start bringing out your authenticity. So the more courageous, like the more courage you can kind of muster up within you, the faster this can happen. And so, yeah, see, and it's hard. And I did this for years, but it was once I became aware, Michelle, that I was so doing this, it went pretty fast. So, what I recommend doing is journaling about what situations make you second guess yourself. When do you hold yourself back? What situations do you hold yourself back from? Do you avoid family gatherings because there's certain people in your family that are super judgmental? I have a client who has that, and it's not even that they're judging her necessarily, but she doesn't like to be around so much negative judgment. And so she actually she mustered up the courage and just had a big conversation with her family at an extended family gathering and said, hey, look, like this makes me wonder how you guys talk about me when I leave. And I feel like I'm holding myself back because I don't want to put myself out there. I'm feeling I'm scared of how you guys are going to judge me. And, this can be over anything. This can be over, holding your weight, gaining 10 pounds over winter and not wanting to go to a family function because you have family members that are really fit. Things like that. There's just really get in touch with where you're feeling judged and write it out. Understand if you need to have a conversation with somebody. If somebody's really close to you in your life, or you would like them to be, but they are kind of judgy, have the conversation, in a kind way, and let them know that, you're going through a lot of growth right now, and how maybe, even be the example. Let them know that it's really changed your life in a lot of ways, becoming aware with the ways that you judge. So because let me tell you, if you are judging, when you start realizing that you're judging people as well, because we're all judging people subconsciously, even if it's not an aware thing. So when you start becoming aware that you're judging other people, for one thing, let it go. Don't hold a lot of guilt against yourself for it or whatever. Let it go. Just be aware of it. But there's another thing also that messes with our minds when we are judging other people. If we're judging people, we automatically believe that other people are judging as well. So when I started clearing out my own judgments, meaning I stopped judging other people as much and really becoming aware of all of the ways that I was judging people. Let me tell you what, when I'm driving, I'm judging people. I can't help it. It's frustrating. I'm like, and the thoughts in my head aren't necessarily kind, and I have to reel myself back in and go, Dre, it's probably your grandma's friend driving in front of you. Just stop, or whatever. Those are judgments, right? But when you become aware of them and you stop judging people as much and giving more kindness, then you start realizing that there are other people that are kind in the world that aren't judging. I see this in my own life now because my tribe has all changed over the last couple years, especially the last year and a half. And so it's a whole different dynamic because the people that I'm associating with are lifting other people up. They're not judging, and so when you, when you go to a restaurant and it's holding doors open for people and noticing the really pretty eyeshadow that girl's wearing, and, that's the way that we are now, instead of being judgy. And it feels amazing. It feels like that's like I've been missing such a huge purpose in life. To be able to compliment somebody who's behind the counter because they look really nice and they're like super rushed and stressed out, and the customer before them was kind of a jerk and whatever else. It changes their day. It changes the way you feel about yourself. It changes the way you feel about other souls. You know, you feel more connected to people and stuff. So getting rid of the judgment is huge. And I highly recommend Gabby Bernstein, Judgment Detox, an amazing book. That's a really great place to start if you feel like you could use some judgment detox. A lot of the times when we're being judged, we're also judging. It's just how it works. We feel attacked. We get defensive. When we are defensive, it feels a little bit good to acknowledge that other people aren't perfect, you know? And so we start sort of validating our imperfections by looking for everybody else's imperfections. And that's not what we want to do, right? Like, what good does that do? It doesn't do any good except for maybe point out to someone else that they're not perfect. And believe me, they already know, right? So we don't have to be the personality police. We need to let people, and this is the thing, what I just asked you, you know, can you allow for someone else to be critical about you without it affecting you? That is the goal. That's the ultimate goal. Be okay with people criticizing and judging you. That's it. Just be okay with it, because it doesn't matter what they think. If you know that you're doing your best in life and you're a better human than you were last year, and you know the things that you've been through in your life that were really traumatizing or challenging or trying, and that caused your personality to do the things that it did. But they don't. Only you do. So you have to be the one to give yourself that grace, and not let it break you down, right? When someone else is judging you or putting their opinions on you. What do they say about perfect? You know, you can't judge somebody else until you're perfect. Yeah. So we don't know anybody who's perfect. So nobody has the right to judge you. You don't even, that means that you don't even have the right to judge yourself. You can continually try and be better. That's fine. But you also have to be okay with who you are right now, with the skills or the lack of skills that you have, because you are exactly where you're supposed to be. I believe that we are all exactly where we're supposed to be in God's eyes, in God's vision. Think about this, even our worst traits teach other people things. You know, even our very worst traits, even when we're being a horrible person and we're putting negativity on somebody else, that person is still probably getting a lesson out of that, even if it's not, you know, not good on our behalf, because they're learning to avoid people who do that to them or whatever it is. It's still happening for a reason. So just know that other people are also trying to fill voids within themselves. And like I just said, sometimes to fill a void, they will pick things, negative things out of your personality. It's like watching Hoarders. You know how I say when I watch Hoarders, it makes me feel so good about my life, right? That's what people are doing every day. They're trying to find something negative that's worse about someone else's situation, so that then their situation and their own flaws or whatever aren't as big of a deal, right? It makes them feel a little bit better about themselves. So just know that everybody's being judged. Everybody's being judged. If you're going through it, somebody else is going through it as well. You are not, and what you're being judged for is no worse than what someone else is being judged for. You know, I look at this a lot when I'm watching the news and stuff, and I think about the things that other people have going on in their life, and you know, we're all being judged. And so, and if you look at it, people make money judging other people. You know, there's a lot of people that make really good money just judging other people. So it's not going to change anytime soon. All we can do is change how we feel about it. Hey, Jen. So be okay with other people being critical about you, and start finding your tribe that isn't going to be critical about you, that's going to get your vibe and be okay with who you are. So so did this help you guys at all? Did you guys have any takeaways from this, or are any of you going through any judgment stuff right now, like with yourself, judgment detox, or are you feeling judged, or are you having a hard time? Are you holding yourself back from something because you feel that society's judgy, or that you won't be able to be taken the way that you want to be taken, you know, the way that you want your message to be taken. All right, so I have got, like I said, I've got those 2 free programs coming up. There are 3-day programs coming up in the Academy. One is on nutrition mindset. It's a holistic nutrition mindset program. And the other one is a massive happiness challenge for 3 days. And so those are a week apart starting next week. So next Tuesday through Thursday, we start the Massive Happiness Challenge for free. The week after that, we start the Nutrition Challenge for free. Today is also the last day to do the raffle, to participate in the raffle, to win free tuition into the Academy. So that is full tuition I'm raffling off, 50% tuition I'm raffling off, and then also a one-on-one coaching session for free as well. But today's the last day to get in on that. We only have, I think, 5 or 6 people who've qualified for that. So super good odds to win that. I highly recommend you guys. All you have to do is share a post, read what the program is about, and tag a friend. I think it's kind of all you have to do. It's a pretty easy thing to do. So make sure that you've got those done. If you need me to tag you in that post so that you can find it, the one that you need to share, just make a comment down below and I will make sure to tag you in that so that you can find that post to share, because that's a $800 up to a $900 prize value, and then a $450 prize value and $150 prize value on those 3 prizes. So okay, awesome. Okay, good, you guys. Amanda, well, good. Okay, Jen. All right, I am, let's see here. What else am I forgetting? So I will put a link to the group below. I will also, because the group tomorrow, I'll have a follow-up training on this inside the group. So you have to be in the group for that for tomorrow. Early registration for the Academy, I will start tomorrow. So tomorrow in my 2 p.m. training, I'll announce the winners for the raffle. And immediately after that, early registration for the Academy starts, and that saves you almost $200 off the Academy price. And it only goes for less than a week. So we got about 5 or 6 days, I think, to sign up for the Academy with early registration. All right. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, if you have anything at all that you took away from this or whatever, if you also have topics you want me to discuss, next week is the only week I don't have a topic for the next like 5 weeks or something. So I have topics already set in place except for next week. So if anyone has a suggestion before I decide here in the next couple days, then you can let me know. I would love to talk about whatever you guys, however I can help, right? So I will do that. I am always here holding space for you. I truly love each and every one of you. I know your potential. Being a coach, I'm blessed to get to see people level up big time in their lives all the time. And so I know the human potential, and each one of you are able to have whatever life you want. If you are not happy where you're at, then we will work to fix that. Okay, so you're not alone in this. Get inside the group. I would love to support you in all of your growth. and I will keep doing it. So, all right, you guys, love you. Mwah. I will talk to you guys tomorrow in the group at 2 p.m. for sure. And then the other people in my programs, I have live videos with you guys coming up as well. So see you later today. All right, talk to you later.